Welcome to the Union Weekly Insider. I'm Andrew Lindy. This is the official podcast for the Union Weekly out of Cal State Long Beach. I'm going to take you behind the scenes and show you what it takes to put together a weekly student publication.
I hope everyone enjoyed the previous episode. It was definitely a change in format for this show. This week, we'll be back to the regular format. In fact, this episode will take you on a journey to show each step in the process of making the paper. From idea to writing, from editing to designing, you'll get an understanding of the schedule of a weekly publication, starting with Monday. Editor-in-Chief Alex Ramos and Managing Editor Bailey Mount begin the week by looking back at what could have been done better.
Both of us usually come in and we critique the paper separately, so we'll just grab a copy of the paper and we'll write all over it, make scribbles, make notes of what was right, what was wrong.
Since we still print every week during the semester, our mistakes stay with us on the page. I asked Bailey how she decides what section is assigned to what page.
Well, usually I've noticed we've fallen into a pattern lately, and we've always kind of had this, is the more localized stuff goes towards the front of the paper, like opinions, community, athletics, stuff like that tends to go towards the front of the paper, while the more general, broader, appealing stuff like music, entertainment, and culture go more towards the back. But usually everything's dependent on when I'm told who has what and how much they can handle this week.
Bailey and Alex explain how they assign spreads. A spread is 2 pages of the paper, typically facing each other.
It's based on how much content they have, and then also if you had a spread last week and someone else didn't, that other person that didn't have a spread will get the
if that person has enough
first
content.
choice. If they have enough content. If they don't have enough content, then, if it's the same section getting a spread every week because they have a lot of content, well, then they're always going to get a spread. But basically, it goes, anybody that hasn't had one gets first choice. If they have enough, then they get it. And that's usually how we've been doing it. And I don't think I've had any complaints about it. Have you?
No.
I think people are really okay with that.
People are rejoicing, actually. I know the culture editors are really happy about it.
Because, it gives the editors a break, so if you don't have a lot of content, you're not being forced into having
you don't have to worry about somehow
pages.
making content stretch really thin.
I also asked social media manager Alexis Cruz what her posting schedule is for the week.
Posting, it usually depends on if the EAC or managing editor put up the newspaper online already. Because if not, then I honestly have nothing to do. Same thing with podcasts. It's like I have nothing to do unless those go up. And the most I can do throughout the week, if it's not strictly Union Weekly related, I usually retweet stuff from College Beat or K-Beach or CSULB, ASI in general. Like any events that any of those 3 are running, or any school-wide news that needs to be spread.
I asked if she had any ideas for posting on Snapchat or Instagram this week.
So far, no one's done anything. Jordan was excited when I said that I wanted to record us during production day, or just in general us in the office, to do like a behind the scenes of what we do, or that we're normal people and we're not just working all the time. But it feels weird because I don't know how to just bring that up and start recording people, because we have the weirdest conversations, and I feel like it'd be very out of context for a lot of people just to see that.
While presenting conversations out of context is easy to do, I try and make this podcast understandable for you.
So the worst thing that's probably happened is articles fall through, and then we come in on Saturday, there was no communication that the article wasn't going to get done.
Art director Samantha OO describes how her process for the week begins.
Well, my process starts obviously by asking, what's the feature this week? I ask Bailey or Alex, what are your ideas for this week? And whether it's a working sort of title, not really title, but a phrase that they have, we're going to be writing about so and so. Usually today is Monday, so usually they know by today what the feature is going to be this week, but sometimes they don't. So if they do, I try to ask questions okay, who's writing it? Is there going to be any pictures that I can work with?
Do you know what the feature is for this week?
I do not. I don't actually. I feel like somebody mentioned it, but I just forgot. It's been a rough week.
Like what has been like the latest that you've found out what the feature is?
I think it's never like super late. It's usually by the end of the meeting, which is now on Tuesday. So like usually by the end of Tuesday, I know what I'll be doing, and then I ask throughout the week, or if I come in like, hey, how's the feature going? Do I have like stuff to work with like already? Like, should I? And then depending on like what the people writing it have, I can start potentially like working on a cover, because it's easier to work with something that I've like, or like someone has already explained to me, like when it's written out, like what angle, whatever, than just like a vague idea and up in the air. It's like if someone had told me like, oh, this week's feature is like censorship and comedy. Like I already knew that since like the Monday before, but it was like not until I read the feature, like Matt explained to me what the feature was, when we could actually come up with something more concrete.
Alex lays out what else to look forward to in the upcoming week.
The important stuff is the meeting on Tuesday, open meeting, which anybody can come in, contributors. All the staff writers and editors are expected to come. If they can't, we expect them to communicate with us, and a lot of them do just that. So there's the meetings on Tuesdays. Wednesdays, we have our illustrator John come in, and that's his office hours, so that's for people to come in.
Wednesdays are also content check-in days. Editors let me know by that point what they have, what they're expecting, and if they'll have enough for a spread, or if they're doing one page. So I can usually lay out the paper on those days.
And then Thursday
nights, deadlines.
Deadlines, so all the articles have to be, if not into us, at least into the editors. And then they have to send them off to our copy editor, Sheila. She comes in Fridays and Saturdays to just go over all the articles, make edits.
She's damn good.
For grammar, AP style, all of that, she can handle it all on her own. She's
Makes
really
our job a lot easier.
Yeah. And Saturday we come in and everything's ready to go. All the articles are ready to go. Hopefully we have art or illustrations for everything. And it honestly goes really, really smooth.
Tuesday starts with Bailey and Alex deciding on a feature.
Have you told Sam about the feature?
No, I should though, because I actually got a cover idea for it this morning.
Bailey will be working solo on a feature about dorming and dorm life.
I'm going over to the housing and residential life building, all the way in the middle of nowhere, sequestered away, as far from campus as you could possibly go, tomorrow. And I'm going to talk to the people in there because they know things. And I'm also going to talk to my RA because she knows things.
Is that everyone you're going to talk to?
I might talk to a few freshmen I know, or people who haven't lived there nearly as long.
We hold our weekly open meetings on Tuesdays at 5 p.m. in our office, USU 116. This allows our editors to interact with contributors in person rather than over email or texting. At the meeting, Bailey had something to say about the Grunion.
I don't know if they're here or not, but I really like the Grunion this issue, and I hope that the editors for the Grunion are keep on doing what you're doing. Because this week was really good. I actually laughed.
Our copy editor, Sheila, also had some words for the page editors.
There are a couple articles in here I never got, and they're in here, and I never read them.
By the way, this is Sheila, the
Hi.
editor, because I know there's a couple people that's Sheila.
We're all friends here.
Please send her your articles. She has a heart attack every time she sees them and they're not edited.
Yeah, that's actually really true.
And then we have heart attacks because we missed it, and
Yeah.
if she had got it, I would have missed it.
At the meeting, community co-editor Silvana Uribe pleaded for contributors to write for her.
So for community, literally highlighting anything that's going on here at the university or in Long Beach, I really want to push the idea of the $20 haul. Whether you can do it on your own or with friends teaming up, just seeing how far a $20 budget can get you. Farmers markets, festivals, literally anything.
After the meeting, I was able to catch up with her and see what else she had for her page.
So far, Carrie's been the only one to respond to the Contribs page post. And so right now what we're talking about is just she pitched an idea and we're kind of developing it, because the idea she pitched was like teetering on opinion / community. So it's like, it was great to have that one-on-one to kind of like develop the idea, really just hone in on it. In terms of content, that is all I have this week. Bailey did mention that there might be something coming my way. But yeah, I'm usually scrambling like Sunday night and Monday. But Tuesday, things start to look better. So that's where community's at. That's where I'm at.
I wondered if Silvana knew why the only writer she had that week was staff writer Carrie Comfort.
I think there's so much to do here on campus and in Long Beach. It's just finding people who are like willing to go out and cover it and just do it. So it's really just getting like the writers off the computer screen and seeing the ideas I pitch to actually going and immersing themselves in everything.
Athletics editor Matthew Gossip laid out the articles he was planning on receiving.
All right, this week is going to be all esports. The esports club on our campus has just finalized their teams for Counter-Strike, Super Smash, Overwatch, and League of Legends. I'm a huge nerd. I love video games. Esports is esports. It should be covered more so because it's a huge industry. It's one of the biggest sports worldwide, so we're definitely going to look into that this week. And we're going to get a player profile for one of the best players. I think he's part of like 2 of the teams, which is pretty impressive. So, yeah, that's what's going on this week. Every week we're trying to touch upon a new sport. We don't want to keep on giving out simple game stories or just, daily articles. We want to go more in depth with our coverage, so yeah.
Matthew also told me about a problem he was having.
I do not have anyone writing for me at the moment. Periodically, people come in and tell me they want to write an article, and I'll let them do that. At the moment, no sort of staff writer, no sort of contributor. So yeah, if anyone wants to write about sports, they can literally write about anything, and I'll be fine with it.
Music co-editor Kayla Marie Hardaway told me what articles she had ready to go.
We already have definitely one piece confirmed, and then we're talking to 2 contributors. So as of right now, it's tentatively 3 pieces, and we're still going to work to get as much as we can to hopefully have stuff for the next week, but we'll see where that goes.
Kayla works with Elliot Gatika, the other music editor, and explains their process.
So sometimes they'll send it to me, the writer will send it to me, sometimes they'll send it to Elliot, and whoever gets it will send it to the other person. So we'll kind of read through it and then send it to the other person, and then they'll read through it and copy edit it. And then, in the end, Elliot gets it because he's here on Saturdays to put it on the page. But we both see what's going to go on the page before it does, and then he just works with the layout.
Travel editor Mario Lopez has a unique piece of content, a column.
I have Gus Critter. Alex, is he working abroad or studying abroad? Studying abroad.
Coventry.
Yeah, Coventry, another school over there. And he's just writing about his travels. I think this week's about him getting drunk and how their educational system over there in the UK doesn't really care for the well-being of their students. And I'm getting a travel memento piece from Martha. Still don't know what it's about, but I'll find out as the week continues. So that's the travel page. And I think it's 1,000 words. That was a long article, so I might just have the Gin Diaries 1 page or something.
In the past few weeks, Mario had to write for his own section due to a lack of articles. I asked how he felt about that.
I had fun. I don't mind it. It just feels weird, seeing that, travel page written by Mario, travel editor. It's just, I feel like, and I know this has been a thing in the past where people read the Union Weekly and they just assume that we only write in-house, we don't want anybody to contribute, but we really do want people to contribute, and I think that's always been a misconception of the Union Weekly, that we don't want other people to write, but we do. And that might have been what was before, but I don't know. If people just don't want to write sometimes, because we do get a lot of people that write in-house, so who knows. But I don't like it. I enjoy it. I enjoy doing it, but I don't like the fact that I have to do it. Yeah.
Food editor Zach Phelps had a few ideas of his own.
Yes. Yeah. Although I think my breatharian idea is pretty on point. I actually do have to have articles. I got talked to about that. I guess I got to do that now. But yeah, no, I do have some articles for this week.
All right.
I have some restaurant reviews and some articles on, I think, food trucks. So that's pretty good. It'll be entertaining.
After the meeting, it's a waiting game for content to come in and stories to be edited. On Wednesday, the office is pretty calm. Graphics illustrator John Mueller sets aside a few hours on Wednesday to come to the office in person and take illustration requests.
Has anyone told you what they need yet?
No, not yet. The office hours are going real smooth.
I was curious how the office hours got started for John, given that no one was really taking advantage of them.
It's to get people to... I have 10 hours, and all at once that's too much. And no one was putting in their illustration requests, so we thought, what if we give myself office hour and broke 2 of those hours off for people to come and tell me what they want so I can prepare for my main hours when I'm drawing.
Despite having office hours, John completes most of his work on Saturday, production day.
In a normal week, when do you feel you do most of your illustrations?
Saturday.
Is that also when you get all the requests?
Well, normally no. I normally know beforehand.
I remembered that last year, John would ask his friends to help him complete illustration requests.
I used to when I was volunteering, but I stopped because when the editors now, they don't like illustrations as much as when I was volunteering. I don't know, they feel bad for me now because I'm not a volunteer anymore, I guess. I don't know how that works out. Because when I was volunteering, I was doing this at home, so they never saw me working. So people, like sometimes, I think one time I got 15 illustration requests in a week. So I'd have to like ask other people to help me. It fluctuates. It's usually I have like 1 week where everyone would want something, and then the next week I'm sitting here wishing people asked me to like help them out with something.
Have you heard about, I think there was an illustrator at our meeting this week. Have you heard about that?
No, I did not hear about that.
Okay. Do you think maybe they're all going to her? You just don't know?
That would be weird.
Yeah, have you drawn anything this semester that hasn't made it?
No.
No.
No, and it's weird when people need to like give all the requests to me because like a couple weeks ago, like people were giving requests to other people. Like it's Allison, right? Is your assistant? Yeah, they're giving her requests. Like I didn't have anything to do because everyone gave requests to Allison. It was really strange.
That is really strange.
Because they thought I was doing too much. But again, this is my job.
It is true that Allison Meyer, my podcasting assistant, also draws for the paper sometimes. But John doesn't seem worried about losing his position anytime soon. Culture co-editors Maddie Gallegos and Amanda Dominguez-Chow were in the office on Wednesday to request an illustration from John and to get started on their page.
Well, we knew we had to get an illustration request for John, so we are laying it out, and we did lay it out, and we put it all in, well, one side.
Yeah, and then
at
we
least
got the dimensions because that's very important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we're going to send those to him, and then other than that, once we get the picture in, then it'll all be complete, and it's good to start early because then Saturday you can actually have a life.
Do you guys have a spread?
No, we have a page.
Yeah, we have one page, which is great because we always have spreads, so.
Yeah, much more, I don't know, relaxing.
Yes.
Less stressful.
A little break for culture.
But just because they have only one page and are getting started early doesn't mean their job is close to finished.
You think you're going to be all done with your page by, like, before Saturday?
No. Maybe for another week because we might not actually be using this article this week. We're unclear right now.
Yeah, someone is going to write a play or a review on the play. What is it? A View from the Bridge or something?
Yeah, the play going on at the University Theater, but we just had someone fall through for us on an article, so we're not trusting anyone now.
Editors have to be prepared for the possibility that articles will fall through or won't be completed on time, or just won't turn out how they expected. Thursday night is the deadline for writers to submit their pieces. This will give Sheila enough time to copy edit and page editors enough time to scramble and find a new article in case something didn't pan out.
Just keep me updated on how it goes, and then like you can get it in Thursday night or even Friday.
Okay, I'm gonna try it some weeks are bad, but this week's good, so hopefully I'll get it in Wednesday night.
That's fine. So keep me updated. Thank you so much, Carrie.
With writers that they're familiar with, or with staff writers, page editors can be a bit more flexible on deadlines. That's why Silvana was telling Carrie it was okay to turn in her article on Friday. Every week, Alex writes an introduction to the paper in his editor's box. I wondered how he approached writing that.
It's usually how I'm feeling that week, usually the vibe I got from being in the office that week. Sometimes, it's a good vibe, we had a productive week, we had a good week. Other times, it's a not so good week, and it's just like, it's a drag even to write the intro, so it sort of shows in the way that I read it, in the way that it reads.
Given that it takes into account his feelings on the week, Alex starts writing the intro pretty late in the week.
Have you started writing your intro?
For this week?
Yes.
No. Why?
When do you start writing it?
I usually start Friday. I'll get like half of it done Friday night. And then as things go on and things happen on Saturday, that's when the rest of it will come to me. But I think I should start writing it and finish writing it all in one sitting on Thursdays, so Sheila can copy edit it.
The intro has to be written so late in the process so it can reflect the paper as a whole. On Friday, our copy editor Sheila comes into the office to print out the articles and look them over, doing heavy editing to ensure that every article makes sense and has as few errors as possible.
And I see that you print it out to actually write
Yeah.
the pages.
Well, I can't see any other way that's as effective in my head. Because if you do it on the computer, you're kind of just making edits without anybody really double checking what you're saying or learning from the process. And the goal is to make as little copy edits as possible. So to teach the page editors, this is kind of where it's at. Hopefully they learn. So usually when I print it out, I hand it to the page editors and they look at it, or they send it back to the writer and they fix it. It's just very easy because it's tangible and it's easy to see, and if they have any questions they can come to me with it on the paper. And
Despite the old school method of editing, Sheila's process is pretty basic.
I just kind of read it and see if it sounds good. I know that's really bad, but I see if it sounds good to the ear, and then if it doesn't, I kind of think about why, and whether it's structurally or the thought in it isn't right or something's off about it. So usually it's structure and syntax, or there's a comma out of place. So my process is mainly does this sentence make sense? Does it make sense with the other sentences? Does it belong elsewhere? Or grammatically, is it confusing? So I just kind of look at it and see, it doesn't make sense. And
The only part left is for the page editors to come together and put together the paper. Everything happens on Saturday. Every week during the semester, the page editors come together with our editor-in-chief and managing editor to put together a coherent and fun paper. We want to inform the students on campus and people in the community. Striking that balance is important, on top of producing striking content both visually and content-wise. When I got there, I checked in with Samantha.
Well, as of now, I have pictures and a direction, so I'm working on that. I'm trying to get inspirations from websites that I like to visit. Some graphic design websites that do artsy stuff. I'm not I don't get to do much of this in my major, so me working here is my way to explore this area. So it's pretty interesting. It's pretty much me just learning as I go, but also using stuff that I already knew to kind of work my way up. So that's what I'm doing right now.
So this feature is going to be 3 pages? Or 2?
Alex, is it going to be 3 pages? 2 pages. 3 pages. Yeah. So the first page is black and white, and then my spread is in color.
Do you have the text of the feature?
Not yet. I am waiting for that, but I usually like to kind of try to have a concept of the cover done before I get to the layout, because it's like this is my way to like have something, and then I make kind of like the layout react to the cover. So it's like, if I'm gonna do something, it has to like have a purpose. If I just do it randomly, it's not gonna correlate. So it's like, whenever like editors design a page, if they're gonna like use a shape like a circle or a square or whatever, like they have to realize that once they do that move, like they have to be aware, like everything else has to be aware of that shape. So kind of works the same here. Like I need something to go from, and then I kind of like try to echo or copy like something. For example, there's like some really strong lines going on there. I could probably copy that for the layout. So I take a lot of those cues into consideration when I'm like designing the page.
Then I turned to the page editors and asked how they handled their pages. You'll be hearing from Zach, Amanda, and Elliot.
So do you start laying out your page on Saturday?
Oh yeah, definitely.
You don't ever start before?
Sometimes if it's like a Friday and I know I have to leave, especially early on Saturday, but usually for the most part what I've been doing is I'll get here in the morning, kind of set it out, then usually I have to work like during the day, so I'll leave for a bit, and then I'll come back at night and like kind of go over the finishing edits, do some copy editing, and then go from there.
Do you think there's any element of your design style that stands out more than the rest?
That's a good question. I'm like, when it comes like, I am not computer savvy at all, so like I've just been like struggling like learning how to format stuff. But I think one thing I've like kind of taken to, another thing I've been better at is when it comes to overlapping pictures and inserting quotes. And like, you know, before I was trying to just like, you know, I have a block of text, I have some pictures on the side, but like I'm learning how to insert the pictures within the articles, and I've been playing around with that a lot, and definitely, you know, I don't know, even like kind of get like geometric with it and try to do shapes and stuff. So I think that's something like, hopefully it'll by the end of the semester it'll kind of be like my MO or whatever. But it's something I still struggle with for sure. I will definitely not deny that.
What goes into making a headline?
Like actually constructing like what the headline's gonna be.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's like, I don't know. I guess personally I just like doing stuff that's like really sarcastic or punny, but I don't know. I mean, especially I just feel like because of the ethos of this paper, I want something that like kind of plays off the title. Like I don't want anything too straightforward. But I don't know. And then usually if someone else wrote it, I can get contact with them. I'd like to get their opinion too, because it's their piece. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I actually like doing the bylines more. I think the bylines when you can just say like headline, you just put a little, you know, this is like the really blank thing, and the byline can do some like sarcastic or snarky comment right under it. So I love doing those more.
How do you approach the layout?
I guess it kind of depends how much writing there is, and then because this is about, the title of the play is called A View from the Bridge, and then I just thought, to be clever, I was like, oh, maybe I'll just make like the headline picture go across somewhat resembling a bridge. So yeah, I guess I don't know, it just depends how much the pictures we have, what's the content, and yeah, how much wording there is to give us enough, and just to give us enough idea how much room we have.
Is that your page?
Yes, it is. So we got 2 reviews from plays. One is from A View from the Bridge, and then the other one is just like an improv Shakespeare show that one of the contributors attended. So I'm just trying to find good headlines and subtitles.
Are those the headlines that you're thinking of using, or?
Well, this one's done. It's A Bridge Over Troubled Water, a review of Arthur Miller's play. And this one, All's Well That Ends Well. And then I'm trying to find a subtitle. I just put Shakespeare for a modern audience or something like that. But I want to be more specific.
What is like your number one design rule when you're laying out your page?
I like to go way off the top when it comes to the creativity. I usually don't even go by the templates that are given, other than just font type and font size. But other than that, I do everything else myself, and I make probably the weirdest or more complicated pages, and I don't know, my creative flow is very weird sometimes, but when I put it all together and it's kind of polished up by Bailey and Alex and like other eyes and whatnot, it all just kind of looks a lot nicer in the end too. I personally think that.
What for you makes a good headline?
Something that sounds interesting, something that won't be a little too heavy, and recently I haven't, but I usually tried making a pun out of what the story's about. I remember having Peter, our now entertainment editor back then, write an album review. This band was called I don't know if it was a band or their album, but it was called Can't Swim. So I ended up making the title for that story. They can't swim, so they drowned. And it made sense because he didn't really like the album. So the drowning only kind of seemed a bit dark, but it kind of fit in a way because you realize that it's not going to be something that's actually praising the album. So I try to work with that.
Are these your final headlines here?
Yes, but I'm actually stumped right now when it comes to the subheads. So that's kind of eating up some of my time right now.
By the end of the night, the paper is done. PDF files are sent off to the printer, a digital version is posted on issue.com, and everything is done until Monday. Bright and early on Monday morning, our distribution manager, Christopher Orozco, drives our cart around campus, delivering the paper to different stands.
My job is to deliver the newspapers that arrive in the morning at our dock, and I have to go around campus and distribute them. Also got to keep a count on which stands and Koisk I distribute to. And then every 2 days out of the week, I do a count just to make sure our papers are getting picked up. And then finally, every beginning Monday in the morning, the process repeats itself. I think they arrive at 6:30 a.m. in the morning.
That's very early.
I wake up at 5.
How do you distribute them?
Oh, I drive around in a little, I don't know what they're called, but I like to call them golf carts.
Why did you want to be distribution manager?
I just wanted to drive the golf cart.
At least you're honest. And that's how we write, edit, design, create, and distribute our weekly publication. If you stick around after the credits, we'll hear some sneak peeks of what's coming up on the Union Weekly Insider. We have also just restarted our YouTube account, and you can find these episodes and more at youtube.com/theunionweekly. Thanks for listening, and here's Bailey to wrap this up.
Thank you for listening to the Union Weekly Insider. To listen to more episodes, check us out on iTunes or any of your favorite podcast apps. New episodes of this podcast drop every Wednesday during the semester. Special thanks to multimedia assistant Allison Meyer for additional editing and recording. Our multimedia manager is Andrew Lindy. Music in this episode is from the YouTube audio library. You can find issues of Long Beach Union Weekly online at lbunion.com and on Medium. Go to medium.com and search Long Beach Union Weekly. Please follow us on Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Union Weekly.
Next time on the Union Weekly Insider.
Please answer my questions.
What was the question?
So, Andrew, you've been asking us some questions about what we do to put together the newspaper. But how about we flip the script and ask you a couple of questions about putting together a podcast?
I think this would be a good full episode.
Yeah. Oh man, that would be great. We'd get so many listens. People would be scared, but also intrigued
I think that should be for the Allison Does the Episode. People get to interview me, and Allison puts it together.
You're a hard man to find.
No, I'm not. You just gotta know when to find me.